Hey, Pastor Josh here. We are beginning our read through the book of Genesis, starting with Genesis chapter 1, verses 1 through 5, the very first words in our Bible, our Christian Bible, also the very first words of the Hebrew Bible. So very formational, very important words you probably already have memorized in your mind. And so let's jump into our reading in the beginning. So at the very beginning, very first thing that happened, God created the heavens and the earth. And that, of course, would be an attitude to change, an attitude to adopt in our mind that God is the ultimate creator. He created out of nothing. He created the world. He created everything that is in it. And so when we see it here, what did He create? The heavens and the earth. This is talking about the totality of everything that exists, not talking specifically about the skies, as we will see the heavens referred to as we read the creation account, or even the earth, the physical place. What this statement is saying is that God has created everything. He created the heavens, being the realm of God, the place humans cannot go, the place that humans in our created state are not able to go. And then the earth, everything that is inhabitable by man. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. And so this would be the first act of creation. God created the heavens and the earth. So God created matter. And then this matter, it is darkness, it is without form. Then we begin to see what it was that God initially created and then what He did with that. So the earth was without form and void. It was empty. It was nothingness, as we will see. It is there. There's no order. It is incomplete. It is chaotic. It is without form and void. And I have that as a promise for us to claim, because after God created the heavens and the earth, He initially created matter. It was a chaotic, dark, useless thing. It was without form and void, and darkness was over the face of the deep. And that's a promise for us to claim, because God initially created matter, and then He began to work with it by speaking and changing. So it's a promise for us to claim, is that God is truly a progressive God. And I mean that in the good sense of the word. So many times in our political culture, people have taken that word and have stolen it. But it's a good word. It means progress. It means getting better. And so God is a God of progress. We're going to see that throughout the entire 6 days of creation. Ultimately, when He rests on the seventh day, it is going somewhere. It is progressing. It is getting better. So you might be looking at your life right now. You might be looking at maybe an obstacle or problems you're going through, and you're like, this is not the way it should be. And you know what God is saying along with you? No, it is not as it should be. I have much better things in store for you, because I'm a progressive God. I'm going to work on you and work on the world. I'm going to do a great work. And we know ultimately Jesus is going to come back. Death and sin will ultimately be defeated. We're going to be living with Him for eternity in a perfect and wonderful world. So even with the way that God created the world and began His creation, we see in there the roots of the promise that He is going to continue to make things better. He's going to bring it to completion. We have that promise even in Philippians for you and me. We're told that God will complete the work that He started in us. He is going to bring it to completion. He's faithful to do that. So this was God created. You got this dark matter that's empty and void. And then we have this creative God and the Spirit of God. You see, right early, we see kind of these Trinitarian references. We got God created, we got immediately, verse 2, we see that this is the Spirit of God was hovering over the face of the waters, getting ready to do a miraculous work, getting ready to take this dark, empty matter that was created by Him, and He's getting ready to form it into organization, into beauty, into wonderfulness. And here's what he does. Verse 3, God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. See that command of God, let there be light, the very first command, the very first spoken word, at least recorded spoken word of God, was let there be light. It was a commandment, and immediately there was light. When God speaks, when God commands, it gets done. God's will is always accomplished. And so I wonder, when you hear God's command to you, when you hear and understand the things that he wants you to do, are you submissive to him and willing to do it? Light appears just by the spoken word. Why do you and I not respond when we are told what to do? So God said, "Let there be light," and there was light, and God saw that the light was good. God doesn't make terrible things. He makes good things. Creation was meant to be good. It is in a fallen state right now, and we'll come to terms with that in Genesis chapter 3, but God created it, and it was good, and it's just going to keep getting better from day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5, day 6. It's going to keep getting better all the way up. But he saw the light, that it was good. And then what did he do? He separated the light from the darkness. That would be an example for us to follow. God is a God of order. God is a God that is putting things together, and we would do well to mimic God in that way, to be orderly, to make sure our life is not chaotic and running this way, in that way. It is an example for us to follow. God will give Adam and Eve what's called the creation mandate at the end of Genesis 1. He's going to tell them to take dominion over the world. In a sense, be like God. Do God-like things. Take dominion over the world. We're even going to see in chapter 2 that Adam names the animals. That's a God thing to do. And so God calls us as his creation, as the pinnacle of creation, humans, to mimic him, because we are actually made in the image and the likeness of God. Again, we're going to look at that at the end of chapter 1. But we see God separated the light from the darkness, an example for us to follow. Bring order to our lives. Order is beautiful. It is wonderful when done well and done correctly, and not done in a suffocating way. God is organizing things. And then verse 5, God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. I just referenced and said that God asks Adam to do godlike things when he names all the animals in Genesis chapter 2. And here we see that is exactly what God does. He's giving a name to these two things, light and day. Darkness and night. And there was evening and there was morning the first day. And this is where the Jewish day gets its idea that the day begins in the evening. The day begins when the sun sets. So, when the day, tomorrow, does not begin when the sun rises. Tomorrow begins when the sun sets. So as soon as darkness comes, that is when the day begins in the Jewish mind. And so when they come to celebrate the Sabbath, when they come to celebrate the seventh day of the week, the Sabbath day began that evening, began Friday evening. It does not begin on Saturday morning, because there was evening and there was morning the first day. I pray that has been a blessing to you, and I will see you all in the next video.